Hi, my name is Peter Vogl, and this is a video lesson on what effects and what pedals I like to use when I'm playing out on a gig. I've had a lot of questions about this, so I thought I'd come in here and show you exactly what I'm using. I like to play through a Fender amp on most of my gigs. The Deluxe is what I like to use, especially on generally a blues or a R&B gig. I even use it on my country gigs, but I will tell you a Deluxe is meant to break up, give you a little bit of distortion. So it's not the perfect amp if you're going to play chicken picking and try and be clean. You need probably a twin for that, and that will be ultra clean. The Deluxe is going to break up. The problem with breaking up on a country gig is all those chicken picking licks become dissipated and they don't cut through real well. Otherwise, I love this amp for just about every gig. Now when you look at my pedal board, you'll see almost all, if not all, the pedals are Boss pedals. I've been using them forever. The pedals are durable. I've been using them a long time, so they look well worn. So let's start with some of the basic effects I like to use. I almost always use compression. I start off with the gig with the sound compressed on virtually everything. Now you can't hear this effect very well. I'm going to turn it off and back on. It's hard to tell the difference. What it's actually doing is just going to smooth out my playing. It takes the loudest sound I'm going to make and cuts it down a little bit, and it takes the quietest sound I make and boosts it up a little bit. So that way it limits and compresses is what they call that, and that will make everything sound smoother. That way if I hit the guitar a little bit too hard, it keeps it nice and smooth and doesn't come out and grab you. I have an equalizer pedal that I use. However, I just use this equalizer pedal for an added boost. Say I'm playing a solo and I don't feel like I'm cutting through, I only use it for that. I use it so I can cut through just a little bit more. That's with it on, with it off. So if I feel like I'm playing and no one's hearing my solo, I'll hit that and just give me just a little bit of added volume, and I boost it up a little bit of the high frequencies so it cuts through a little bit more. Another pedal I like to use is the Tremolo Pedal. I use this when I'm playing rhythm primarily, and you can hear it makes the sound waver. And it's very rhythmic. So many times I will try and make that rhythm correspond with the type of song I'm playing, in rhythm with the song, but it doesn't have to be. It can be random and still sound very good. All the old CCR songs, for example, we'll use that effect down there. It's a great sound to soften up your chords, and it especially works on blues gigs for me. I use a chorus pedal, very little. It creates a watery sound. Here's with it off. Here's with it on. And all that's meant to do is make the sound a little bit more beautiful, a little bit more washy, so it's not right in your face. I use that primarily when I'm playing rhythm. Occasionally I'll use it when I'm playing a solo. That's with it on and with it off. Once again with it on. So it's a nice sound. Another effect, this is more in your face sort of effect, this is called the Octaver Pedal. I never use this when I'm playing rhythm. I use this when I'm playing single note riffs or solo. This effect is real cool, gives you that old 70s sort of effect. It's essentially adding a lower note to what I'm playing, and it can actually add two lower notes if you like that. Alright, so another pedal I like to use is the digital delay pedal. I use this a lot. Probably too much. Here's what it does. It adds a delay. It delays your sound and adds echo to what you're playing. You can't really tell it's there when it's subtle. It's nice when I'm playing a solo as well. Here's with it off, and here's with it on. So I use that a lot. I use it almost every solo I play, and I leave it on during chords as well. Many times in a song when I'm playing a simple chord, I like the sound it makes with a little bit of delay added. Not much. If it comes back as strong as what you hit it, it's too strong. You need to cut it down so it comes back maybe about 50% the volume of what you just played. Okay. Another pedal I like to use is somewhat similar to the octaver. It's a harmonist pedal, and it adds harmony notes to what you're playing. So without it, and with it. Now the trick with this pedal is it gives you many keys to pick from when you're playing. So you have to be able to know what key you're in and what key you want to set up the harmonies to come back in. So you have to set it different virtually for every song. And then you might actually have to know what modes are as well to be able to use it in some circumstances. But I love that pedal. It gives me a nice little added boost when I'm playing a solo and I want to just go somewhere else. Okay, and another pedal I like to use is a distortion pedal. Primarily I use the distortion in the amplifier that I'm using. But when I want to get an extra rock and roll sound or a little bit more distortion, I have another distortion pedal that I'll use, and I'll cut that in as well. Now I don't set that as wide open as most people use it either, because I already have a little bit of distortion coming through the amplifier. So I set it just enough to give me that extra bit of distortion. The other thing that happens, as you probably heard, is your noise gets boosted as well because it's getting boosted along with the rest of the signal. So you'll get a little bit of extra noise. You're going to get a little bit extra distortion, and if you're going to use it for lead, you want to set your volume to come up a little bit higher, so for the lead you have a little bit more volume. Then if you wind up being a little short still, you can use that equalizer pedal I have in the mix to give you a little bit more volume still. Okay, so that's basically the effects I use. Oh, I also have a tuner in there. I always have a tuner in line so I can tell when I'm playing whether I'm in tune or not. The last piece of the puzzle is the guitar. And this will change per gig, per circumstance. I have a lot of different guitars, but I have two favorites, my Telecaster and my Stratocaster. They're both made by Donald Dunleavy. He's a builder in Jonesboro, Georgia, and I waited about a year for each one of these. So I used this model of a Telecaster. It actually has 3 pickups in it, a neck, a middle, and a bridge. And that is what we'd call a custom Telecaster because of the 3rd pickup in the middle. If I want a bright sound, I'm back here, and that's on this pickup, what we call the bridge pickup. If I want a darker sound, I turn on this pickup, and that's the neck pickup. If I want the middle, that gives me kind of a nasally sound. Then I also have settings that turn on these two at the same time. And then I have another setting which gives me these 2 pickups. That's more of a specialty sound on this guitar because I have it wired funny. I mostly use this sound, the bridge, and the neck. That's primarily the sounds I use depending on whether I want dark and beautiful or if I want bright. One more thing I'll tell you with the amplifier, I almost always run with a little bit of distortion. Not much so you'd notice it, but enough to soften up the sound. I hardly ever run 100% clean. when I'm playing out. I like that little bit of grit in there because it makes the signal a little bit warmer. No one really notices it's there unless, again, I go to a chicken picking circumstance where then it gets a little bit too much distortion, and I could use a cleaner amp for that. So, okay, well that's my lesson on the effects, my amp, and my guitar that I like to use on a gig. My name is Peter Vogl, and I will see you again soon.